Goatee's back.
Listen, I noticed that the goatee was back. I didn't know if I was supposed to mention it off the rip, but it's certainly back. And can I say, Tex, it seems to be back in a big way. Now, that could be simply the fact that I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks.
With a vengeance, you might say.
Well, the thing about a goatee is I don't think, because there's something sort of sinister about the goatee implicitly, I don't think it can be back without a vengeance. If it's back, it's with a vengeance. It's like Agent Smith in The Matrix popping into a scene, but it's just to say g'day. There's no tension afoot. That wouldn't happen. Same thing with a goatee. If a goatee's there, you take notice, and vengeance is imminent, if not incipient.
I walked into work yesterday, and I had my shirt tucked in because I was making some sandwiches, Jack, and I didn't want to get butter down my front. And a fella I work with, good fella by the name of Sam, he took one look at me and said, "Mate, you look like a nonce." He goes, the goatee, the tucked in shirt. I had my hair parted in curtains, Jack, because I thought it might have been long enough on top now, post shaving, to do so. And he said it's a lot to take in, and to be honest, it's giving noncery.
Can I ask what time of day this was?
Oh, this was around 5 p.m.
So we're talking top of the evening sort of stuff, back of the afternoon, top of the evening. And I will say, as a man who likes to front load my energy of an evening, I like to start well. And there's no tougher way to start an evening, to start a night, TK, whether that's a working night or a social night, than to be called a nonce.
Or a school night. Yeah.
So plainly a nonce.
I took it in stride. However, it did dawn on me that he was being serious, because he mentioned it a few times, and with some conviction.
When you say he was being serious, surely there was he didn't have actual concern for the juniors of the surrounds.
No, he wasn't implying that I was a pedophile. I think he was just implying that I looked like one. Whether he was referring to a specific pedophile, I don't know. But that's what he thought. That's what he thought.
Well, it sounds like it went a little further than mere implication as well. By the sounds, it was pretty direct.
Accusation, yeah.
Accusation is what I would say. I think we've moved from implication to accusation. Which I respect.
Two phases.
Well, those are the two registers, TK, of noncery, and so I respect the fact that Sam was definitive and direct. But I would ask that you don't feel that that you're now typecast into that role. Don't feel as if you now need to become the nonce guy.
Oh, you don't think I should lean into it?
Look, I think there are certain things that you want to avoid leaning into, whether people think you appear that way or otherwise. If I started to walk around with a very small, perfectly square moustache, I don't think, and someone were to remark that I looked remarkably similar to a certain author turned
painter,
chancellor of who was really cutting around doing his thing, sort of first third or so of the 20th century. I wouldn't then go, do you know what? I need to take that. I need to take that accusation, that implication, whatever, and I need to lean all the way in, and I need to start mirroring that guy's mannerisms, his social philosophy, his racial philosophy, his economic policy. No, I would just go, I'll take what you're saying. I hear you, brother, but I'm not going to lean in any further than that. And I think that's the right way to play this accusation vis-a-vis goatee nonce Sam.
Okay, thanks. I'll take your advice on board, and I'll let you know in the coming weeks how I go. Now, having said that, I'll ask you this: have you ever been rock climbing?
When you say rock climbing, do you mean the actual outdoor abseiling, or do you mean the indoor sort of gentrified rock climbing, the high rocks, but for kids who look like they're going to shoot up a school?
I mean either, but in your adult life. Either. Ever
I'm
been on
pretty
a
sure I
rock climbing
have.
holiday?
When you say a rock climbing holiday, and I'm sorry to keep needing to clarify what you mean, but it's only because you're coming back with such nebulousness. When you say a rock climbing holiday, do you mean have me and a collection of my friends gone away somewhere together, up or down the coast, and parked
Pouringly.
up for a few days with the intention of sort of getting into our outdoor rock climbing work? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, you haven't, have you?
No, I've not. Have you?
No. I just was listening to a podcast the other day where they were talking about doing that, and I thought it's something I could certainly probably see myself trying and potentially even enjoying, but it's not something I've done, and it's not something I plan on doing.
Yeah, look, again, I hate to draw comparisons and indeed to be pejorative, but I think rock climbing, it is...
Don't say
Rock climbing is to nerds what High Rocks is to people who were a little bit thuggish at high school and are now in that period of their life where they've decided it's time to make a change, and that change is going to be not so much internal but external. And by external, I of course mean external force. I'm going to be pushing a sled whilst running a 2x2 with my partner, sexual or otherwise. So that's the way I sort of think of rock climbing. Again, shout out to the climbers out there. Power to you. I couldn't do what you do. I'm sure with a bit of training I could.
You probably could.
Yeah, right. But shout out to them. No, I've never rock climbed, and it's not the internal rock climbing thing, as in, hey guys, real Sunday activity stuff. Hey guys,
Let's have a bit
Sunday.
of fun.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun. I got a voucher on Red Balloon. Let's go and climb a couple of walls. It's the same flavour of no thanks to me as if someone invited me to go paintballing. I just go. I'm not saying it sounds like the worst thing ever, because I know that historically gas chambers have existed, but I'm saying it's just not the way I'd want to spend my weekend.
I understand.
I'd rather sit in solitude.
And when you describe it literally, it's painted for you there, as you said. Let's go climb up a few walls, and you kind of think, why though? And then if you were to spell out paintball in the same vein, it's let's go run around and get absolutely pelted with little bullets of pain.
Somewhere in far western Sydney, which, by the way, I have no issue with, but the added commute of having to go out there and having to deal with some guy whose name is Jet, walking you through the very, very serious safety protocols, when you know that all Jet's had that day is a schnoz and a white mother. And I'm supposed to sit there and take this man seriously as if he's got my safety as his first priority. I don't know, mate. I don't know it can be done. I'm sorry. You have a wonderful Sunday. It's not for me.
We will get to energy drinks in white cans. Don't you fucking worry about that. You have just moved into your new place in Glasgow, which, by the way, our dad, because you sent a very confusing message to our family group chat, which led all of us to believe that you were moved into somewhere in Edinburgh. And Dad actually told a bunch of our family friends in Melbourne that you'd moved into Edinburgh, and he comes home the week after. He's like to me, after all that, Jack's moved in with Edinburgh. I'm like, no, he's actually moved into Glasgow. Just reread the message he sent.
I sent a message to the family group chat on a day trip to Edinburgh. You read it out and be the judge.
I'll read out the message because I also thought it, and so did Bridget, and so did Caitlin.
Clearly, the stupidity is hereditary. It's a real suspense builder, this.
Hello from Edinburgh. We're all moved in at the flat. Amazing area, right across from cafes, pubs, across the road from cafes, pubs, boutiques, and a huge park. We live directly above a beautiful 19th century pub, and the woman that runs it is our landlord. It's very sitcom coded, to use a modern.
Now that I hear it back,
let me read it again. with punctuation. Hello from Edinburgh, full stop. We're all moved in at the flat, hyphen. Okay. Amazing area, right across the road from cafes, pubs, boutiques, and a huge park. We live directly above a beautiful 19th century pub, and the woman that runs it is our landlord, full stop. It's very sitcom coded, comma, to use a modern.
First of all, why do my family group chat messages sound like I'm in fact writing the blurb advertised section of an Airbnb that I'm promoting? And second, right across the road from a short walk to town, it's like a 15-minute bus as well every time. No, so now that I hear it back, I can understand the confusion, and I retract my earlier comment about stupidity. That was really the stupid one in that instance is me. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, but it wasn't if it wasn't for the fact that literally the next message you sent after Caitlin said, lovely address, you send your address, and then you say, the pub is called MJ Herity. It's a tiny Irish snug bar famous for having the best Guinness in Glasgow. And that's when I went, hang on a second, but you just said you were in Edinburgh. And then Dad's obviously missed that message. He's told Andrew and Gabrielle that you now live in Edinburgh. So he was like, oh, now I got to tell them that you're actually in Glasgow.
And can I tell you...
Not that much of a fuck around, really. It could be done in a text, really. But
well, also, I don't know how their life changes drastically depending on what Scottish city I'm living in, particularly given they're a 40-minute train drive from one another. It's literally like going to Parramatta from town.
Geez, sell it anymore.
Well, no, can I say this too? Edinburgh, obviously famously one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Like, it's just like you're in a fairy tale. But not a whole lot doing. Not a whole lot doing. Bro, not a lot doing, A. And B, because it's so Disney World-like. And again, I've been to Edinburgh before, but because it's for anyone who hasn't been, it's literally like, imagine like a Disney, like a Beauty and the Beast, and it's like all little cobblestones and everything looks like it's fucking Hogwarts, right? Every single shop. It's gorgeous, the main streets. But because of that, super touristy feel, and there's just a lot of Germans clomping around and, what have we got here? And a lot of Americans going, oh my God, get the photo. There's a lot of get the photo and, ooh, what have we got here going on? And I'm sure I'm probably clomping around.
You should do an impression of a Chinese tourist. Just to be fair.
No, see, I think the rule is anything west is play on. Anything east, you're supposed to show a little. I was going to say skin, decorum, restraint.
Show a little thigh.
Show a little upper for the ladies at the back. So shout out to Kappa's back, by the way.
Run us through. You're in Glasgow, not Edinburgh, just to be clear. But you're in.
I'm in Glasgow. We've been in the flat now for just a lick over 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks yesterday. It was 3 weeks of being in the UK prior to moving into the flat. So we did pretty well. I mean, we literally landed and had no leads at all when I landed in the UK and was staying in Northern England with Charles. Now, yes, we are in the flat. Everything's hunky dory. We're like I say, you've heard the ad, across the road from a beautiful park. It's cafes galore. It's pubs out the fucking wazoo. TK, there is a pub every couple of shops. There's a new 17th, 18th, 19th century snug pub. It's can I tell you something? The rough and rowdy Glasgow that we know, it's gentrified, baby, and it's still got edge. It's still got a little bit of that grit, right? But it's very much like a Footscray or a Redfern or a Marrickville, where it's like, this feels like it used to have a bit of grunge, but now we're outside a cafe called Gusto and Relish that does the most sensational morning roll, which is the Scottish parlance for bacon and egg roll or breakfast sandwich or whatever, wherever you hail from, and everything is it's just beers in the sun. It's beautiful coffee. Like, can I be a little bit It's Australian style coffee. There's a shop just literally right below us. So yeah, we're in a great spot. We're very happy with the flat. I won't give away too much more than that. In terms of our domestic lives, but that's the situation as it stands.
Have you been hitting the pubs regularly?
So I have done my fair share of what is kind of my style, which is nip in 1-2. I love a nip in 1-2, and I love a nip in 1-2 with a decent amount of regularity. Every couple of days, I'll go in there, couple of Guinness, maybe a lager,
two beers,
maybe a dram.
So, sorry to dram. Sorry to cut in here, but you see a lot of kind of podcasts kind of debating what's the perfect amount of beers. There's something special about 2 beers, isn't there?
Too special. I love it. I love the 1 to 3. Yeah, you do. You feel the hum, TK. You feel the tickle. But it's enough to take the edge off the day without having the night become foggy. Does that make sense?
And absolutely. And you seem to be in some sort of a How I Met Your Mother type situation, living above a pub. Is that
pub
dangerous? Do you live in it? Are you there all the time?
You know what? We've been, well, like I say, we've been here for 2 weeks. We've been there maybe 4 times, right? So, it's not nothing, but it's not danger levels. And the reason that it's not danger levels, I think, is because my flatmate and friend of the show, one Charlie Morris Hugh Galloway, has recently gone, shall we say, sober. He's a part-time, he's a temporary teetotaler. And for anyone who doesn't know Chuck, that's not like a dry July kind of thing. This is a man who can put away pints with at such a rate of knots. You seldom would have seen it before, right? And TK, you've obviously experienced it many times firsthand. There was
He's a bad influence on the piss as well, because he'll bring you to his level. He'll pull you, and I've got that in me as well, as do you, and he will pull you to that level.
He does. I've developed a little bit of an armor where what I'll do is, and I'll tell you the story that was, as with most, sort of, I'm making a change decisions. It's not forever, but he's doing it for a little bit. He's been off it for nearly a month now. There was a sort of singular incident that caused him to go, right, I need to, and without divulging too much of his personal information, I'll give you the run of it takes. So we had been in Lancaster in the north of England for a week. I'd been in the UK for a week, and we got an invite to go about 20 minutes out of Lancaster to a pub that, if listeners of the pod will remember, the previous Sunday we had been there on our pub crawl. We got an invite to go out to that pub. It's a beautiful kind of country pub in the north of England that was putting on a big do because it was one of the co-owners of the pub's birthdays. It was his 40th birthday. Charlie knows this guy pretty well, knew him growing up, etc. So Charlie said, listen, I'm not necessarily in the mood for a huge one, but I think we should nip out. I think we should make an appearance. I said, of course, I'm not in the mood for a huge one either. So let's do a thing we never do. Let's preset a limit, right? Let's pre-book this is how much we're going to have. And we agreed 5 pints of Guinness. That's what we said. We're going to have 5. It's a cool Sunday afternoon.
We all know that if you say you're having a certain amount, there's nothing to stop you from going over that amount once you've had that amount.
So no, you're right, TK, and you're the angel on the shoulder that we probably needed when we foolhardily went, yes, cool, 5 pints of Guinness and we'll go. Now we get there and the first 3 go before I've blinked. We're then up to 5. A friend of ours has then decided she's going to stay for the night, like as in it's going to become a bit of a thing. And Charlie goes, we'll have a couple more. We get to 7 pints of Guinness. And I said, Chuck, I'm calling it. I'm booking an Uber. And he's gone, by the way, at pint number 5 or 6, he's gone to me. I said, that's 5, or I said, that's 6. And he's turned around to me and gone, why the fuck are you counting our pints? And I went, because we explicitly agreed to before we got here. In fact, I think you were the engineer of the counting system.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
But like you say, he's now got, that was Charlie before he had 6 pints of black in him. So it's a different man you're talking to, you know? So I say, listen, Chuck, I'm getting an Uber, brother. Love you dearly, but I got an Uber outside, and no amount of no, stay out is going to convince me that this night's going to get any better after 7 pints. We'd had a sing. There was a bit of music happening. There was a bit of Irish stuff happening. It was everything was great. I was like, I know that we're getting to the point where the guy whose birthday it was, his like schoolmates who have come over for this because they don't live there. We're now just kind of in weird D&Ms with them. I think they're on some
pretty etch.
They're on some other stuff, quote unquote, that I'm not on. And I go, Chucky, I can just sense that my limit of enjoyment has topped out here for the night. I'm not going to have any more fun. I'm beating it, right? I go, you coming? He goes, no, I'm staying, right? He's an obdurate cunt. He loves to dig his heels in. All right, fair enough, brother, fair enough.
How close are you here to your apartment?
20. No, this is when we're in Lancaster. So we're in the north of England. So we're 20 minutes. We're a 20-minute Uber to his family home. Mm-hmm. So I jump in the Uber. I go back to his place. I get home at about 1, something like that. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a bit of context here, but what I'll say is when I got up the next day, I got a coffee, and then at about 9 a.m., I didn't notice that Charlie wasn't home yet. About 9 a.m., I went, I'm going to go for a run. And as I'm going to open the door opens and Charlie walks in. And he goes, and he's just got this look of fear in his eyes. And he's just going to me, oh, no. He goes, mate, I should have gone home with you. And I went, why? What's gone on? He goes, nothing in particular. Why did I stay out that long? And now, like, that was a ridiculous decision. And the topper, TK, was that prior to going out that night, we were getting changed, getting into our garb, our finery, right? And Charlie made the bold decision to swap out the pair of Nike Air Force Ones that he had initially played his jeans into for a pair of boot-cut navy jeans and high-top Texas cowboy boots, right? And he went, you know what? This is a fucking look. This is the night to wear them. And I went, fair enough. We got to the pub. Yeah, you do you. I'm never going to tell someone what to wear. We got to the pub and it became immediately clear when we saw a lot of, I don't want to use the word chavvy, but let's say country folk in Nike shorts and trainers, that this was not the night to wear that outfit. And so
who's
Charlie
this
got home.
Scooting baby who's just walked in?
Why is Willie Nelson just walked into Sunday Night
off
Roast?
the ranch?
Straight off the ranch, Kapil, right? And he didn't have a gun holster belt or anything like that, but he's walked in. Anyway, Charlie's walked in and he's gone, mate, I ended up getting into a bunch of weird arguments, a bunch of weird D&Ms I didn't need to be in. And can I be honest? Once I got into an argument with anyone who he'd met that evening, I couldn't fucking do anything because I was standing there in a pair of cowboy boots. And he goes, I just felt like a complete knob. And I was like, and I kept going, nah, bro, I thought the fucking cowboy boots, I thought they fucked. Like I loved it, right? Yeah, exactly. They killed everyone's night. No. I was like, they were great, right? They were great. And I still stand by that. I like the eccentricity of them, but it was just a mark of the shame of the evening and how he had pushed it, in his opinion, not in mine, no judgment from me, in his opinion, too far, that as he tore the cowboy boots from his feet at 9 a.m. in over the threshold of his family home and left them there as he went upstairs to have a nap. They were a sort of a symbol. You know what I mean? They were a symbol of broken dreams and mistakes that he would rue. And they were essentially the catalyst for him coming down later that afternoon after his nap and going, that's it. I'm off the piss for a bit and no more fucking cowboy boots in that order.
No more cowboy Cowboy Boots for that boy. He needs to take a chill pill on the Cowboy
Correct.
Boots.
So in answer to your question, no, we haven't been going to the pub too much.
There are a few scenarios in which Cowboy Boots can be worn without any question as to whether they're suiting the occasion, Jack. And I attended one of those occasions last Saturday, and that was the ranch warming.
Before you tell that story, I just meant to tell you we've come up with a name for our apartment.
Oh, a la the ranch.
Yep.
What is it?
The ranch.
No.
Yeah, this is called the ranch.
No, it's not. No, it's not. What's it called?
So you said you went to another place called the ranch. What was that? Tell me the story.
Stop. Have you actually got a name for it, or have you just come up with this joke?
It's called the ranch, mate. I don't know what you want from me. This is called the ranch.
It can't be called the ranch.
Why not?
There's already a ranch, mate. You know this. You're
not one that I'm familiar
this.
with. Not one that I'm familiar. I remember a ranch in Ramwick, but that place is long gone.
Well, there's another ranch in Wallara that we warmed 7 months post them moving into it. We warmed and we warmed well on Saturday evening. Now, I sent you the hype video that I made that they posted on the ranch warming Instagram. What did you make of it?
I loved it. I thought it was very experimental. I found it to be quite psychedelic in a certain the Avalanches meets early David Lynch sort of way. Not to invoke the term Lynchian. Yeah, there was something about the whole thing which was a little, maybe even Cronenberg, like it was just all a little disconcerting. And am I in a dream? And Albert was popping up and he's speaking in what felt to me like an American accent that was obviously Southern, but also felt like it had a little bit of, can I say, black twang?
Creole?
Is that allowed?
Yeah.
No. Well, there was something a little on the nose going on there. But anyway, it was a great video. It was really well. What I liked, again, great performances from Skip and Bert. But I liked the use of space, obviously, but the directorial vision and the way that the editing was so disconcerting. A really nice piece of short form cinema takes. Yeah.
Thank you. Look, I think it did the job beautifully in terms of getting the hype for the party going. And let me tell you, Jack, you're never sure going into a party that you're somewhat involved with, if not, a surrogate host in a sense. Obviously, I don't live there, but I spend a lot of time there. You never know whether or not. Did you just? Hang on, your audio's coming out of your.
Hang on, how's now?
Yep, good, cool.
Sorry, start your sentence again. Listeners, I've just popped. We're doing output, input, two different things, and my AirPods have just cut out there. You never know.
And sorry for using this ruler to gesticulate. You never know when you're having a party, Jack, and there's whether or not the amount of people who've said they're coming are going to actually come. And so there's always a kind of sense of foreboding where, could this get out of hand? Could this be crazy? Could there be a lot of people here? Could it be a bit of a flop and there's not that many people here? When I say that this was probably the best attended party I have been to in the last 5 years, that is not an exaggeration. It was spilling, mate. It was bursting. The ranch was bursting at the seams. Now, you will know, having been there, that there is an upstairs area with the bedrooms, the living room, kitchen, Skip's back kind of porch, front kind of courtyard area, and then there's the downstairs area, right? That, doesn't really belong to them, but it's there. There's the downstairs area, big room down there, some side rooms, back room, and then the kind of courtyard out the back. Every single room available was completely and utterly packed with people. I would say it was bordering on, at the height of the party, there would have been close to 200 people there.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like it had a bit of a Project X vibe, TK.
It was insane. And I had obviously had a few drinks and a bit of other things, in the first few hours. And I went into someone's bedroom and I was having a chat with one of the boys, I can't remember. And I walked out and it was like I'd been in there for 10 minutes or something. And in the time I was in there, everyone had arrived. And I was just so overstimulated. It was crazy because everywhere you looked, there was someone else from a different group you knew and someone else from a different yada, yada, yada. And you had to keep, making conversation. But my goodness, what an absolute do, Jack. It's a shame you weren't here to see it. But
it is a shame because, I do enjoy being making a cameo performance amongst that general group. They're a great group of very well, can I be a little paternal and say very well raised people? There's great manners, but there's great comedic chops going around as well. Love that.
You were mentioned you were asked about from, I'd say, tens of people.
Oh, that's very sweet. That's very sweet. So long as the question wasn't framed as, where's your big nonce brother?
Well, the question's often, oh, do you miss him? And I have to say, like, people don't seem to understand that you spent a lot of time. I feel like, I don't know, it's like no is the answer I always give because it's like it doesn't feel as if you've gone away one, but also in the last like 10 years, you've spent probably more time away from here than you have here. So this is not unusual.
I mean, you're right. And we do, not that people sit around thinking about my movements in decade-long blocks, but you're right to point that out. I did a fair stint in Ireland, and then there was a stint in interstate, and there's been a lot of touring, a lot of traveling. And you're right. So the actual time spent in company has not necessarily been extended. And the world, TK, we're all so interconnected these days vis-a-vis the interweb.
The World Wide Web, yeah.
Exactly. What I like the idea of is being in a place, returning to a place for a short amount of time, and when you're there, really making the most of it, being present, having your good times, your great classic hits. And as you get older, that's the way it is. I mean, some of my best friends don't live in the same, well, now none, well, except for one. But even when I'm in Sydney, a lot of my best friends don't live in the same city as me. It doesn't matter. You see each other 3 times a year and you absolutely tear the cunt off one. You have a good time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way life goes,
Yeah. It's like that Homecoming by Kanye West featuring Chris Martin. Do you think about me now and then? Do you think about me now and then? Because I'm coming home again.
And I'm really glad that it's only taken us half an hour of podding for you to quote the great man. And by the great man, I of course mean the front man of Coldplay, Chris Martin, not to be confused with the retired Kiwi fast bowler Chris Martin.
Or employee of Happy Birthday Tattoo in Marrickville, Chris Martin, who's also English.
It's so easy to get the three confused if you're not very careful. Sort of a big three, a Smith, Slater, Cronk of Chris Martins, if you will. Now,
speaking of Smith's, sorry, you've clearly got a point you want to make.
No, I was just going to push into something else, but if you had something more relevant, go for it.
I was just going to say it was Origin last night. I didn't catch the game because I was working, but look, it seemed as if New South Wales were pretty poor for the
I had the game, been fully intending got sent off. Yeah, New South Wales were awful. Queensland absolutely. In fact, I got a message from friend of the show, Kappa, who's a diehard Blue, after the win, saying that he was going to need to. I'm going to put it very lightly, but because he felt so gross that was the win, he needed a cold shower and he perhaps needed to, I'll just put it crassly, this is what he said, he needed a cold shower and he perhaps needed to masturbate to a certain type of porn. So that was what he felt, and it was a punishing type of his choice was punishing.
Oh, he's going to hate that you just said that.
I don't think he'll mind. I don't think he'll mind. He knows anything he says to me before a pod night is kind of play on, and I didn't say what kind it was either. That could have got him in a bit of trouble at work. Now, what I will say, firstly to Kappa's employees, if they're listening, nothing illegal about any of that. That's all play on. What I will say is that the game, Queensland were the better team, and then Ponga got sent off basically, and then that was it. And Tedesco had an absolute stinker, but then took one out of the air at the end. What do you do? What I will say is I had fully intended to watch it with a VPN and just on the old 9 Now, but I sort of couldn't be bothered setting all that up, and so instead I just took myself down to the closest pub that was open at 11 a.m. yesterday. That was 3-minute walk away. I asked the bloke if they had Sky Sports, because that's what plays rugby league over here. He said they do. He put it on. It was on the main channel.
Easy
I
peasy.
sat at the bar. Yeah, I sat up at the bar, and he said, No. Walkabout isn't open till midday, and Walkabout's in the city, and Walkabout's shit.
It's also shit. It's shit.
Yeah. You didn't need to be Australian themed. I just need a pub with Sky Sports, and I had a couple of pints of Tennent's off the wood while I watched the Blues get up. So that was my Origin night, TK. That was my Origin 1.
Nice. Are you feeling? Have you been feeling productive while you've been over there? Been writing a lot?
A lot, mate. Yeah. No, a lot. Yeah, I've sort of done. I've got sort of 3 or 4 projects that are kind of in a rotation of delivery at the moment, and I've kind of been, I've delivered a bunch of drafts while I've been here. So there's been no shortage of writing that's been going on. In fact, the mornings have been sort of sequestered for that.
Have you started anything new? Which I feel like you told yourself you probably weren't going to do that because how much you got on your plate, but it wouldn't shock me if you have.
Listen, I may have done. I may have even finished something new, but we'll save that conversation for non-pod chat.
Well, a slightly more interesting conversation that could be for pod listeners is you seem to have you have started a new series on your Instagram, which involves you snapping one off. And by snapping one off, I mean Jack Snaps.
It's called Jack Snacks. Snacks. We haven't named it as such explicitly, but essentially it's just silly little unscripted improvisational videos of me going around buying my dinner and then eating my dinner, which we didn't necessarily think would be anything, but the first 3 videos have absolutely fucking popped. So,
well, yeah, you seem to have gained about 1,000 Instagram followers, and the good thing about that is so has Carnage has gained quite a few as well, and you've got a few. You have a bit of a Glasgow fan base now, just off the first 3 vids. So, also Big John liked and shared your video. So
he did. Nice. He did like and share the vid. So hopefully a Big John collab is incoming. No, look, it's been good because, like you say, I've been doing my more serious work in the morning, vis-a-vis my playwriting, and then of an evening, I, Charlie and I have to eat. If we're going to we'll go and get dinner or something, then we just make a dumb video about it. So yeah, we'll keep it up.
I like the fact that you keep returning to that same offie, and people just can't fucking believe that you're not getting full just the classic Reggie Didge Iron Brew. People having aneurysms about it.
Aneurysms, and can I say 2 things about that? One, you know that I drink. If I'm ever going to have a soft drink, I drink a diet soft drink because to me, they taste the fucking same. Like I know this. There are some people out there who just need a hobby, who will delineate the difference between the different Cokes and Pepsis till the cows come home. I think you should go and read Anna Karenina, and by that I mean you need to go and do something much more challenging with your fucking brain. But what I will say is, to me, they taste fucking the same. I don't drink them that often anyway. And if they're going to taste more or less the same, and I'm not a huge fan of soft drinks, full stop, I don't want to fucking smack down 300 calories. Like for what? That's
the thing. They taste exactly the same, and they satisfy a sweet tooth, and they have no calories in them. Like it's an obvious choice.
It is insane to me that Coca-Cola is still as big as it is when Coke Zero and Diet Coke, to me, taste more or less the fucking same. Again, there's some purists out there. Yeah, sure. But come on. You can surely accept that it's not apples and oranges. It's Fuji's and Kansis.
I love the snapping of the table. And Judd texted me this morning. I don't know. I'm assuming he might have contacted you as well. But he said, well, I got this text from Justin this morning. It was a screenshot of his comment. That's the top comment on that first video. And he said, incredible that this stupid comment has become the premise of the series. I'm not sure if it's the premise.
It's literally, it's no, but it's the base hook of the series is the snap of that table.
Because it's so visually silly. And it's red. It just looks good, the drop and the thing. And then he said, also, I had a dream last night that you asked me to kill you. And I said, so good. Let's snap. Was there a reason? He said, you wanted to die, but not in a suicidal or depressed way. You just wanted to experience it for a bit. It was incredibly strange. And you told me that you were asking me because I'd get it done properly.
Listen, I've oft suspected that Judd has a certain dark side that we're perhaps not privy to. And I think that given that he's a man who could enter public office at some point in his life, I'd like it examined. Or at the very least, I'd like us to keep an eye on the big fella because he worries me a little bit. He does. Now, speaking of worrying people a little bit, his comment was funny and it's become the hook. Speaking of worrying things, you patter for a moment and I'm going to go and retrieve from the fridge my newest little vice.
Sure thing. I'll describe to the listener what I'm seeing in Jack's background. I'm sitting in my father's office right now doing this because slightly better lighting than the last few weeks, which was my bedroom. Jack has a wooden cupboard with 2 suitcases on top of it. And he's just sat back down in front of it. Hope that was interesting enough.
Now, again, historically, I'm not a huge soft drink guy. I'm not a huge soda, fizzy, pop, whatever region you hail from.
Pop.
I'm not that guy. My fizzy drink is lager. That's what I like, typically, if we're talking carbonation. Obviously, I've dipped my toes into the world of iron brew over the last couple of days. If anything, it's reaffirmed
Sounds like
for me
creaming soda.
Bro, fizzy drinks are just fucking mid. They just are. I'm sorry. But I don't know how or why it happened. It's just happened. Much like the affair that Ryan Giggs had with his brother's wife. It just happened.
I was going to say it sounds like you're describing a relationship you've just gotten into. I don't know how it happened. It just happened.
It just happened. Sure, buddy. But somehow, some way,
you have started a love affair with what appears to be Monster Zero Sugar, the big, tall, white can, which you're taking a large sip out of now. Now, I have not tried this before. My understanding of these is they're sickly tasting.
They're sickly. They're artificial. They're
caffeinated deluxe as well, aren't they?
Listen, I would imagine they're caffeinated out the fucking wazoo, and I would imagine that if the devil could piss and he could piss cold and carbonated, it'd probably taste like this. I understand that when you see things like L-carnitine and taurine and a bunch of words that really sound like they belong in a lab on the rim of your drink, that's probably a flag waved in your eyes to say, hey, brother, don't consume that.
Don't put it in your...
But TK, this has got its talons into me. I'm trying to keep it at no more than one a day. I'm trying to keep it at one every 2 days, but there's been days where I've had a couple. And
when do you have your mother? Monster.
What I'll typically do is I'll have it about an hour or half an hour before I go to the gym. But sometimes I'll get one on the way to the gym and I'll be sipping on it as I'm working out. And
that makes sense because it G's you up with all that energy.
Well, it's the same as having a real strong coffee, right? Like, it's not the fucking worst thing in the world. But I know that there is a certain... Charlie calls it goth juice, and he does think there's a school shooter connotation to drinking
this. It's kind of
etched
when I see that. It kind of makes me feel very uncomfortable. It's either that and tradies are the two people who drink them.
Well, mate, couple that with the fact that I'm very often playing one into a snooze. That and a zin... We'll get you doing wild things at the old Pure Gym in Shorelands, which is our local.
Schnoz, I initially thought you meant wank, but I was a little confused for a second. Now, sorry, just hold whatever thought you just had just for a second because I need to go plug my phone in. You ramble. Describe what you're saying.
I'm not gonna rant. The listeners will know I'm not a big ranter historically. What I'll say is that this is, again, sugar-free, which, again, apparently, like, if you told the people of Scotland that you were having a sugar-free beverage when a full-fat one was on offer, they would have an aneurysm and then some. Maybe they go the brain into the heart, play an aneurysm into a triple bypass. It's just such a no-brainer to me, the whole no-sugar situation. Happy to hear comments to the contrary, but... Like, again, if your retort is, but Coke tastes a little bit better than Coke no sugar, I'm like, brother, does it taste 300 calories better? Does it? I don't think it does. And again, I probably got the numbers wrong. I'm probably inflating in favor of my argument. But fucking sue me. I'm the one with the mic. I'm the one with the gripe. That's just turned into a rant accidentally. And that's what happens if you leave me to talk on my own. It's that or I defame the Jackson estate. Shout out Mickey.
Shout out Mickey. Actually, no. No.
We're not shouting out Mickey. Surely not.
Did you have anything written down?
I had a couple bits, couple pieces. I wanted to, I have two small anecdotes, TK. The first regards a trip to London that I took recently. Now, I went to London to meet with a potential collaborator on a project. This was a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, now, just so the listeners know, we're resuming normal programming as of now, so the weekly pod. We were kind of waiting on me to be settled in a flat and for us to have broadband. We have both of those now, so
was this a cousin of ours?
No, it wasn't a cousin of ours. It was an actor who I know. She's doing a bit of producing as well now. She lives in London, and she wanted to talk about one of my plays. So I'll give away nothing more than that, because who really gives a fuck? The point is, I had to go to London, and I had to go to London on very short notice. Now, I have friends in London. Very dear friend of the show, Jack Collins and Nessa Salvador, live in London, and I think would be happy to put me up for an evening. But it was such short notice, as in I was booking my train to London near enough right before I had to go, that I just didn't want to. I didn't want to impose. I didn't want to say, like, it was on a school night as well. I didn't want to say, "Hey guys, I'm coming over. Could you put the blow up mattress out?" Da 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 da. So I end up booking a hotel. To be quite clear, the hotel was a hostel. Now, I have no qualms with having to crash in a hostel for one night, right? Okay, I am...
Especially if you don't have a shitload of luggage and stuff. It doesn't really matter.
No, I literally just had a little carry bag, and the whole point was I was going to be there for 2 nights, and I was going to be out in London all day, every day, both times. I had a couple of meetings tied up. I was going to go see lots of shows. I was never going to be there, right? So you're just crashing on a bed and then jumping in the shower in the morning. So I'm not above a hostel. It's not something I've done very often in my life, but it was very last minute. I was staying in central London, and so that was my best option in terms of cachet, right? I didn't want to spend fucking $600 on a hotel room. So the hostel ends up being run or certainly manned at the desk by an Australian lad who had, I think we can say, all the personality of a dead caterpillar. I checked into the room.
You are allergic
I go
to
in.
shout out.
I am allergic to caterpillars, dead and alive. I go into the room, and the setup, TK, in this hostel is 3 bunk beds, each triple deckers. So bottom bunk, middle bunk, top bunk, 3 of them.
I know the kind.
Well, they're fairly. It's an self-explanatory kind, isn't it? So I go in and I see that I've been assigned a bunk, and I've been assigned a middle bunk. Okay, sure, whatever. I put my shit on the bunk. There's little storage units and shit to put your stuff in. I do all that, and then I bugger off, and I'm gone then for the whole day. I've got a whole list of activities planned, and I have one of the great days. London is just one of. I mean, newsflash: London is one of the great cities, and I had just a tremendous day, afternoon, night. If anything, it got better as the night went on. I get back to the Accom at about 11 p.m. ish. I get myself ready for bed. I get into bed and I think, right, perfect. I'm ready to pass out. And when I'm up in the morning, it'll be early and I'll be off again on my travels. At that point, when I get myself into the sheets, there's someone in the bottom bunk. There's me in the middle bunk. There's no one in the top bunk. Now, I drift off to a sort of half sleep. About 15 minutes later, I am awoken from my slumber by the sound of a rather large man entering the room. I turn and see that the figure is I would say, probably 60, 65-year-old, extremely overweight Irish man. Now, I didn't know he was Irish at the time. I figured that out later, but I'm just letting you know for context. He's big. He's probably 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" at a pinch. He's a big, hulking fella, and he's wearing like a traveler's rucksack, like one that snaps around and clips around you, right? Like he looks like he's about to get... Like Ivan Milat would have had a field day with this fella, right? So he walks in. Door closes behind him. Boom. And I go, fucking hell. The hostel, by the way, was supposed to be 18 to 40-year-olds. Like that was... It had a, sort of slightly ageist limit.
Perhaps he was under 40, Jack. You know those Irish. They don't know.
If he had, he needed a good slather of sunscreen. He drops... He unclips himself, Teeks, from the rucksack. And I go, what's going on here? Picks it up and launches it onto the top bunk directly above me. And I put two and two together in that moment, in my state of inertia. I hadn't done it yet. And I go, oh, fuck. He's going up. And this big fella approaches the ladder, the little dainty ladder that connects the bottom bunk to my bunk to his bunk, and he begins to ascend. And all I can hear, TK, if I can hark you back to one of the great nursery rhymes of our childhood, Jack and the Beanstalk, all I hear is fee, fi, fo, fum, as he I smell the blood of an Australian man as he ascends this dainty little ladder made of what I could see to that point to be toothpicks, mounts this top bunk. And as he mounts it with the full weight of collapse, I just hear boom above me and the whole bunk shakes. Now, it's 11:30 at night. I am not maybe in the greatest place mentally at this point, given I just kind of woke up, to be thinking kind of logically and unemotionally and rationally. But my brain goes, I don't know if that bunk's going to fucking hold him. Like that guy could be, I'm serious. I think that guy's probably 150, 160 kilos, right?
Doesn't matter.
He's fucking massive. And I get my phone from the little charging holster that they've very, very kindly added into the, they built into the side of these bunk beds. I pull out my phone and I Google, how much weight can a bunk bed take? And I get all these AI fucking, Google returns, and it's saying, most conventional steel bunk beds can take anywhere between, 110 and 135 kilo. And I'm going, I think he'd be well over that, mate. Well over that. So I lie there for another couple of minutes and I go, I'm probably overreacting. I'm probably being silly. I'll go to sleep. And then this little voice in the back of my head goes, what if you're not, bud? Because if you're wrong and that bunk bed collapses under the weight of that enormous 20 years past the age limit of this hostel Irishman, there's only one result, and that is you're dead. Like 100%. If that went, like the bunk's only that far above my face, if it goes bang, I'm at worst I'm critically maimed. At worst I'm Tom Cruise in Vanilla Sky, baby. Right? I am. My looks are gone. So I go, right, fuck it. I'm going to risk looking like an idiot. I get out of the bunk bed. I put on some trousers because I'm.
What time is this?
I'm buck.
11
It's
PM?
approaching midnight. I go down to the hostel reception and I go, hey guys, I'm sorry to sound ridiculous, but you guys have just checked in a dude who is like fucking enormous and you've put him in the top bunk directly above me. And I know this sounds crazy, but I'm kind of worried the bunk's not going to hold him. And it's two people in there. It's like they're giving real like kind of stoner vibes in like an American slacker movie, right? They're like sitting like this.
Is it kind of like Bill Bailey in Hot Fuzz?
Kind of like that, except like younger. And one of them goes, the girl just starts going, and I'm going, yeah, it's funny. It is funny. Yeah, it's funny until that falls on me and I die, and you have like a criminal suit, right? And anyway, so the guy goes, let me check, man. Right? He goes onto the fucking thing and he looks through and he's like, there's literally no other beds in the entire hostel this evening, right? And I go, all right, so what are my options? My options are at midnight I go and find another hotel to stay at, or I just fucking go risk it for the biscuit, baby, roll the dice. I go, fuck it, I'm just going to go
and sleep tomorrow.
Or I don't sleep, I just go wandering, right? Which was I considered, but I was like, I had my meeting in the morning and I was like, I don't think I can do that. So I go back to the thing, I go to sleep, and I long story short, I obviously do wake up and the bunk doesn't collapse, and I was probably being dramatic. But I will say during the night, I didn't get that many winks out of the 40 because he put on one of the great oral performances directly above me. It wasn't snoring so much as it was moaning. He was absolutely...
It sounds like old mate Ogre has a bit of sleep app potentially with his size.
Potentially a bit of sleep app, and that may have something to do with the fact that I think his arteries are sort of solid lard. But it was a ridiculous evening. And as much as I don't besmirch the hostel experience, I think next time I probably stay a bit further out of town. I stay with a friend. I'll stay with Jack. But if that wasn't an option, I think I'd stay further out of town in a travel lodge or something.
I think, well, your option you still had was to call Jack because he's a night owl, as you know. He's probably still up.
You know what? And he'll hear this and go, "Why the fuck didn't you just stay with us?" But I just, you know what I'm like, I just didn't. He does, but it was so last minute. I just didn't want to impose at all because I didn't know if they'd be getting off work late. They're both lawyers. Like I didn't know what the situation was. So anyway, I probably overthought it as usual.
You know that this just backs up my theory, which is that you always take the top bunk. Now, I know they assigned you the middle bunk, but you take the top, Jack, and you take the top for that very reason. I don't like the feeling of someone being above me. If you're on the top, the only thing that can go wrong is that you fall off it.
TK,
the thought of getting crushed.
I couldn't agree more. But again, as you alluded to, the setup of this of this hostel was assigned bunks. We weren't in, we weren't in some weird new some sort of Arcadia, some sort of Eden where people were allowed to pick their own bunks. Mate, this was fucking Nazi Germany. And I'm sorry to mention it for a third time this pod, but they were running a regimented ship.
I'm not sure we've ever had a pod where you didn't mention it. The right, that is.
I don't, and I mention it purely out of interest.
Somewhat suspicious.
I'm not sitting here saying I'm just mentioning it.
I never hear Churchill mentioned. Never. Never hear Churchill or Stalin mentioned. Douglas MacArthur.
I was going to say, what are the other big figures?
It was who was the president of America? Roosevelt? I don't know. No,
Teddy.
Eisenhower.
Yeah, Eisenhower. Yeah, who I always, every time I hear his name, I just think of a tower. Eisenhower. I don't know if he was tall. So that was my little bunk experience. I've got a couple more quick yarns for you, Teeks. The first is that, as you know, and as keen listeners of the pod will know, the topic of mints has been discussed on this podcast far more times than is worth recounting. But a keen listener of the show is obviously one Charles Galloway, and he has this certain affliction where he can't eat red meat. So it's not an ethical thing. It's a dietary thing. His body can't really process it. It's a bit gross. We're not getting into that. But basically, he doesn't eat beef, lamb, or pork. So he eats chicken, he eats a bit of fish, and he eats anything else. So for that reason, because most mince is, beef, lamb, or pork, he's never really eaten mince. He said to me the other day when we got in here, he said, "Is there such thing as chicken mince?" I said, "Yes, mate, there is such thing as chicken mince. And it's good gear. Yeah, it's good." And he goes, maybe I'll give that a go. Now, he has since, TK, and I speak in no exaggerated terms when I say this, the guy has become obsessed with mince. He has become a minceman of note. a champion of the mincing cause, and he gets into his mince work in that kitchen with reckless abandon. He loves it. He's just loving the chicken mince.
By the way, I between the last pod and this pod, I got an email saying that our apartment finally got filled. 252 Warren Road. There's someone in there now.
Finally. I'm going to tell you one more thing after you say that.
Well, you and I got into an enormous amount of mince work last year in that apartment. I basically exclusively ate mince.
Because mince is the best food in the world if you're trying to look after your health and you're trying to look after your back pocket, right? It's amazing on both fronts.
Your back.
Yeah, well, and again, shout out to Kappa's back. I, TK, have had the most bizarre other side of the coin experience vis-a-vis landlords, agents, etc. We've obviously come from dealing with the shittest agency in the world for rentals, Bondi Realty. Shout out to them. The agency that we went through to get this apartment was just a letting agency, so we don't deal. After they signed off on everything, they were like, "Right, you guys now don't deal with us at all." Like politely, they were like, "You deal directly with the landlord." The landlord who owns the pub we're above. She is the sweetest, most lovely woman to deal with. She greeted us up here on the first day. She went to get
MJ Herity?
Her dad, I think, was. She's Patricia Herity. Hope she doesn't mind being mentioned on the pod. Charlie calls her. We got slightly different relationships. Charlie calls her Mrs. Herity. I call her Pat. She came up here on the first day. She made sure we had everything we needed. She'd furnished the place to within an inch of its life. We didn't have to fucking buy basically a single thing sans bed sheets. She got us mattress toppers. We opened the fridge. She had a bottle of Prosecco chilling in there for us. Like, she's just
Italian?
She's money, baby. And it's like, why can't this... not to get into macroeconomics, but you hear about these grubby cunts who own 180 fucking investment properties that are sitting vacant. Why can't this be the investment property experience? It's you own the place, but you're not trying to price gouge. You're making a little bit. You're covering your mortgage. You're putting a bit in the back pocket. You're creating a little generational wealth for your next of kin who will then have a property there. But the people who are in there, you open your arms up and you go, "Come here, my sons, my surrogate sons, and let me wrap my arms around you, throw them around you, a la Mark Seymour."
Do you shout out hunters and collectors? Do you see her often, Mrs. Herity?
Not as often as I'd like. Not as often as I'd like.
Is she Irish or Scottish? Scottish.
She's Scottish, but it's obviously Irish heritage, and it's an Irish as fuck pub. I'd imagine the old man was Irish.
Have you gotten over to the Ben?
I have gotten over to the Ben, and I love the Ben. Heritage is very similar in layout to the Ben, TK, as in it's one small room.
Because the Ben's tiny.
It'd be the same. It might even be smaller than the
really?
Ben. The Heritage is one small. Heritage is one small living room, basically. That's all it is. And most of the time, you have to stand up because it's so popular. It's like an iconic place. Yeah.
Isn't it funny? Someone commented on your video. I think it's the top comment on your most recent one. Why are you within 100 meters of Heritage? And it's funny, they don't know you live inside Heritage.
Well, we asked for the best kebab recommendations in Glasgow, and someone was like, "Get to Shahid's on Pollock Shores Road," and I was like, "You don't realise that Shahid's is the business directly." Like shares a wall with Heritage. They don't realize we live above Shahid's.
You should collab with that guy. He's got a massive following. He's been commenting on your vids. It's a Glasgow guy.
You're talking about the Sandwich King guy?
Yeah.
So we've been doing this we've done 3 stupid videos now, and I've already had 6 messages from businesses asking me to come in and try their food.
Really?
That's
cool.
One was a wellness business in Glasgow that does like all wellnessy kind of stuff. So, we'll see how that goes.
Found employment potentially.
Well, I actually have picked up a bit of part-time work, but I won't talk about that on the pod. We'll keep some things to our private lives. No, we'll just keep some things to our private lives. I want to divulge my entire life. Yes, yeah, man of the night.
Sex worker.
I am a sex worker. Yes, I'm sucking blokes off through small walls known as glory holes for money. It's a quite humble
It's
trade.
dignifying.
It's dignifying, in that I'm cash only, so there's no trail. So there's that. Now, the last thing I wanted to tell you, TK, is a bit of an anecdote, and it's become an anecdote pod, is that I wanted to ask you this. Have you ever hit your funny bone?
I'd say once every 6 months.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Have you ever hit your funny bone and subsequently fainted?
No.
Okay. So the other night,
that question.
The other night, Charlie and I were hanging out in the room here. We were just chatting a bit of shit. We'd just done one of our silly videos, and he goes, "Right, lad, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to go brush my teeth." I was like, "Sweet, mate. Have a good night." He walks out of the room. We both have separate bathrooms. So he goes into his bathroom to brush his teeth. I am moving around, and somehow, I don't know how it happens, I've hit my funny bone on the edge of a wall, right? And when I say hit it, TK, I don't mean, I've bumped my funny bone. I mean, I've hit it so sweetly, so purely, so directly on whatever that numbing nerve is that we equate with the funny bone. I have hit it so down the center that the only thing I could equate it to is when Brett Lee hit that ball on top of the roof at the Gabba in 2005. That is the sort of sweet spot I'm talking about in terms of bang, direct ping. What subsequently happens is the entire right side of my body goes completely numb, right? Like I'm like, what is going on?
What's hit a pressure point? That's what's happening.
What's going on? And the next thing I remember, I woke up on the ground, I woke up on the floor in my bedroom, and I had completely blacked out, completely passed out. I had a t-shirt from my dirty clothes basket on my face. Beside me, I had knocked over my desk chair, my cup of pens, and my cup of tea. So my mug was on the ground, and my shorts were soaked in tea. I had no idea where I was. And Chuck heard me in the other room go, "Where am I?" And he's come running in here like freaking out. He's gone, "What's happened? I just heard this fucking smash of shit, and I heard you say, 'Where am I?'" And I go, "What's happening?" And I woke up completely disorientated. I've stood up. I'm walking around. And it took me a whole 30 seconds to go, I'm in Glasgow. I'm in Scotland. I'm in my apartment with Charlie. We were just doing a video. I had absolutely no idea where I was, and I was completely freaking out. And Charlie, because he's not the calmest operator in the world, then doubles the freak out. He starts going, mate, are you okay? Like, mate, have you just had like an aneurysm or something? Like, have you, like, I think you've had a stroke or something. And I go,
it's a fair thing to ask. It's a fair thing to ask.
Of course, he goes,
that's happened. Have you had a stroke? Yeah.
An ostensibly healthy young man has just completely passed out on the floor, seemingly out of nowhere, and Charlie's freaking out, right? So he does a concussion test on me because he goes, "I reckon you've hit your head, da.
Yeah.
He does a full concussion test on me, and I go, I don't think I've hit my head. I don't know what's gone on. He goes, "What happened immediately before you passed out?" I go, "I can't really remember. The only thing I can remember is I hit my funny bone." Now, I Google this.
It's a pressure point.
Hit funny bone and fainted, and this is the return. This is the search return. Fainting after hitting your funny bone is rare and caused by a vasovagal reaction, which is a temporary nervous system overreaction to intense sudden pain. When you whack your elbow, you are directly compressing the ulnar nerve against bone. The resulting shockwave of intense pain can cause your heart rate and blood pressure to drop suddenly, briefly reducing blood flow to your brain and making you lose consciousness. So that's what's happened. What's happened.
Isn't it amazing how your brain, within a millisecond of this happening, just shuts everything down and goes, something's wrong? got to fucking go unconscious. And isn't it weird
that's
that the
the
brain's
phrase,
reaction, the brain's reaction to being under attack is to go unconscious?
Completely bizarre.
Isn't it weird?
You're so weird.
Doesn't that make you more vulnerable?
I would have thought so. When you say to shut everything down, TK, or to, I mean a complete cut the cord blackout. A complete. Oh, I felt my arms going all funny, my arms going all numb. Bang! Next thing I know, I'm on the floor. Like it completely. My brain just went, nah, turned it off, shut down. Bizarre and kind of scary.
Wasting any energy on the conscious external. What our understanding of what we are is, not to get deep. Shut that off. We're fucking working on the real shit up here. We're
working on, I'm trying to
make sure everything's actually gone wrong.
I'm trying to keep you alive up here, brother. Or whatever the fucking weird thing you're worrying about, that's nothing. That's gone right now, right? And on the way down, I've obviously, as is obvious, I must have grabbed at my desk chair as I'm falling, and that's what's knocked the chair and the cups off the table and the tea. And that's why Charlie, even after I figured that out, was like, are you sure you don't have to go to the doctor? Because are you sure you haven't whacked your head on the way down? And I went, we did the test. The test was on ChatGPT, to be fair. But
the Prime Minister of Australia.
It was that stuff, and it was like, where are you? And I'm going to say 3 words, and then I'm going to ask you in 5 minutes to repeat those words to me and stuff like that. I don't think I hit my head. I don't think I was concussed. I think it was just a freak occurrence, and it was a bit spooky.
Well, what is scary about that is it's funny you doing it in your bedroom, but imagine if you'd been somewhere actually dangerous, or you were driving or something like that, and it happened then.
Imagine if I was on a night out and I was 10 pints deep and I was in the middle of a pub, and on the way down I've whacked my head on something, you know?
Or you fucking, I don't know, on a tightrope. Actually, no, that's too specific and ridiculous.
Extremely specific.
Maybe not a tightrope, but like
what? So in your scenario,
I've height.
I've joined the circus, the traveling circus. In your scenario,
or someone's forcing you.
You're on a tightrope over a pit of lions, and then you hit your funny bone. On what?
Yeah, hot coals.
That could have been the end of me.
Well, that's utterly absurd, mate. I hope you're okay. Last thing I should ask you just before we wrap is, what's on the menu today? What are you planning on getting? And also, the other thing I should say is, these are high-calorie meals you're getting for your videos if you're doing them daily.
High calorie and not crazy cheap either, right? Like, you know, so it's not the way I would be eating if it was if we weren't filming, basically. So look, I've been running a lot and I've been going to the gym a fair bit. You can't out-train a bad diet. Everyone's heard that adage, getting around the interwebs. I'm trying to use a bit of fasting, make sure I get my protein in, and I'm trying to, on days where... So, unfortunately, we're on such a fucking hot run the last 3 days, but it's going to come down a bit now because Charlie's now away for like the next almost week, I think, touring. So, it is a shame. But, you know...
You could do a bit of Anya's self-filming if you wanted to.
I could do a bit of self-filming. The other option is I could ask... another person we know in town to do
David
one
Small.
with me.
Don't know why.
Wouldn't be quite the same though. You know, it's a collaboration, this ridiculous project. So
now, is it bad that I straight away in my head when I saw you posting these and them doing well, I thought, oh, this is great because it means that, you know, by the time that you've started doing these, because it means when you're home at the end of the year, it sets us up beautifully to do a bit of chasing Anyos.
Well, did you see Will Blake's comment that
white collar
he called me the
Anyos.
white collar Anyos? I resent being called white collar. I've never worked a white collar job in my life, but I'm certainly not blue in the way that Anyos comes from the streets. So I'm a strange kind of collar. I'm a yellow collar.
Sorry, I had 2 notes for this pod, right? 2 things to mention. One, I just can't remember what this means, but I've got written in my notes carpet muncher, which obviously I know what it means, but I don't remember why it's written there. The second one is, I should tell you, Jack, I've gotten the boys at the ranch into Anyos, as in Eats All Eats. So when I've been around there recently over the last like month or so, they've been like popping on an Anyos and watching Eats All Eats, and they keep because I've told them basically, and they can't believe this, but it is true. I've watched every single Eats All Eats video. And so I'm there like, which one's good? Which one's good? And I'm like, this one's good. Oh, this one's good. And I'm like, boys, at the end of the day, I think they're all good. So like, because they're asking of like the worst videos, they're probably the best when he redeems. What do you think? Did any come to mind for you?
Yeah,
Skip did
probably
say to mention to tell you that they'd gotten onto it because you'd be proud. Or
I am proud of them. I'm proud that the community of Anyos soldiers is growing. If I had to recommend one to them, I would say I have a certain nostalgia for the ones that really got us into it, which was Worst Indian in Sydney.
Ranking the worst takeaway places in my city, which is the one.
That's a good one too. Yeah. The reason the Worst Indian one is good is because at the third place in Maroubra, he launches into the most seemingly over-the-top diatribe about it starts with M, the kind of curry.
It's a madras.
About a madras that he starts. I mean, the guy is just all over the shop emotionally, and that's why we love him. He starts by saying it's okay, and then by the end, he's basically saying it's the worst thing he's ever eaten. So if you want to watch some really
bed in that one,
exactly. If you want to watch some really unhinged stuff, I'd recommend that one. The one where he tries Chinese food is bad Chinese food is also really good. Yeah.
I would say one thing I have noticed watching it with the boys the other day, and I don't know if you'd already picked up on this, I realized he's actually fucking unhinged, mate. He's crazy. Like,
I can't believe it's taken you to go through his whole catalog to realize that. The guy is actually nuts.
Because you feel like you're like kind of having a conversation with him, and then you realize he's by himself with this insane aggressive energy.
Yes. I think he's a man who has more enemies imagined than in reality. He's one of those people. I think he reads his comment sections a little too much. I think he does think that there's people out there trying to get him. And I think really, I mean, again, I could be speaking naively because you and I don't come from the hood, but I just doubt that's the case. And so he kind of has this real staunch energy that he brings into interactions that don't really require it, a la eating Korean barbecue.
Or Chicken 65.
Which, again, don't get me started on that one. No, but Chicken 65 is amazing. It's just not fried chicken. And it's also in loads of North Indian restaurants. Any restaurant that does biryani will do, or biryani as he pronounces it,
I love biryani.
Will do Chicken 65. It's very big in Northern Indian restaurants in Sydney.
All right. Well,
is that us?
That might be everything, yeah. Bit of a mammoth effort today.
It was, mate. It was. We had a few bits to get through. We'll try to resume normal programming, as I say. It's good to see you, Teeks. Hope everything's well at the...
I assume are you going to try and do that processing with Charlie, or will you have this up pretty quickly? I don't know.
I'm going to bang this episode over to Chuck because he is going to do a quick master of it so that it's a bit louder for you guys on YouTube, on Spotify. So if you've made it all the way to this point in the podcast and you've noticed that the overall audio quality is a little better, it will be because Charlie's mastered it for us. So you can thank him. If it's no better, then you can also message him and abuse him at Charlie Galloway on Instagram.
As always, comment on the Spotify, get involved. We will be responding to those in the next episode if you leave a comment. Also on the clips when I post them.
TK is also now taking over. I haven't told him this, but he's completely taking over the Instagram. So if you leave a comment on the Instagram, you will be got back to by the Carnage account, and it will be TK getting back to you. Okay. So now there's no confusion about who it is who's doing it. I'm thinking, we'll be more on top of it.
You're just putting all the onus onto me there. So you're saying if you comment and no one responds to you, it's this guy's fault, not mine.
That's right. Correct. Is this him? Alrighty, I think that's us. Manchester. Right, everyone have a good evening. And by the way, it's the first day. It's the first day of Eid. So Eid Mubarak to all. Eid Mabruk to. Is that
how you pronounce it? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, you'll see. We did a cookie video, an ice cream video last night, and that's going up at some point. And I said Eid Mubarak. So let's just stick with that. Eid Mubarak to all who celebrate.